Si supieras que la forma en que te comunicas con el universo, contigo mismo y con los demás puede cambiar radicalmente tu destino, ¿qué harías? Jung decía que lo que no haces consciente se convierte en tu destino. Y en este video vamos a profundizar en uno de los secretos más poderosos. Cómo la comunicación no solo transmite palabras, sino que abre puertas invisibles hacia la prosperidad, el amor y el propósito. No se trata de magia superficial, se trata de sincronicidad, de esa conexión profunda entre tu mundo interno y el universo que responde. Quédate, porque hoy descubrirás cómo limpiar los ruidos que bloquean tu vibración y cómo activar el verdadero abracadabra de tu vida. Yo creo conforme hablo. Yo soy Alejandro Andrés, y estás en el canal Carl Jung, el inconsciente colectivo. Si esta historia ya despertó algo en ti, suscríbete ahora mismo, porque todos los días traigo un nuevo contenido que puede transformar tu visión de la vida y ayudarte a convertirte en alguien imparable en tu propia jornada. Y quiero conocerte más. Comenta aquí abajo desde qué ciudad nos estás viendo y cuál es tu realidad actual. You are not standing here by coincidence. Something far greater, something deep within your being, has led you directly to this moment and to this very message. And when you reach the end of these words, you will begin to understand why. Perhaps in recent times you felt overwhelmed, as though your entire world has been spinning out of control, filled with confusion, uncertainty, and challenges that seem to make no sense. But what if I told you that all of this chaos is not random at all, that in fact, it's the clearest sign that you are about to enter the most powerful, beautiful, and meaningful season of your life? What many fail to realize is that the universe whispers long before it shouts. It delivers subtle nudges, quiet signals, and delicate pushes before the great wave of transformation arrives. The true tragedy is that most people fail to see these moments for what they truly are. They confuse them with bad luck or misfortune, and they surrender just before their moment of breakthrough. But that is not your story. You are here, and that already means you are awake enough to notice. Today I will walk with you through 7 of the most powerful signs that your life is on the edge of profound transformation. And if you recognize yourself in even 3 of them, know this: a brand new reality is already forming around you. The first sign: you begin questioning everything you thought you knew about life. If recently you found yourself reflecting on your beliefs, your goals, your values, or even your sense of purpose, understand that this is not accidental. It is a signal that something within you has already begun to shift. This transformation, though invisible to others, is deeply real. It's as though the mental structures you once trusted and relied on are crumbling before your eyes. And yes, that collapse is uncomfortable, but the very discomfort is sacred. It's proof that you are awakening to a new version of yourself. The universe is gently calling you to re-examine everything you once took for granted, to question your reality, your relationships, your direction. This is not a breakdown, it is an awakening, a tearing away of illusions so that you may step into something greater than you've ever known. This change in perspective is essential for your evolution. It's life itself signaling that your mind is ready to expand, to accept new ideas, and to align with your higher self. Questions like, who am I really? What do I truly desire? Am I living a life that honors my soul's mission? These are not empty thoughts, they are gateways. And once you step through them, there is no turning back. Suddenly, the world you knew begins to feel strange. Things that once made perfect sense now feel hollow. What was certain begins to fade. And while this can feel like losing your balance, the truth is you are finding your way. This confusion is the universe clearing the path, removing what no longer belongs, making space for the real you to emerge. It is a cleansing of the spirit, the death of the false self so that your authentic self may be born. In its wisdom, the universe strips away the masks, the lies, and the outdated identities, leaving only what is raw, honest, and real. And though the process may feel like destruction, it is in fact creation. You are being rebuilt, stronger, wiser, and more aligned than ever before. Understand this: questioning is not a mistake, nor is it a distraction. It is the very beginning of your journey. You are not lost, you are finally seeing clearly. And though it may be frightening to watch the familiar fall apart, that collapse is what allows space for something far greater. You are not broken, you are breaking free, and it's not only your beliefs being tested. You will begin to notice changes in your relationships, your habits, even your daily routines. People who no longer resonate with your energy will slowly drift away. Circumstances that once gave you comfort may now feel heavy or suffocating. This is because you are shedding everything that doesn't match your new vibration. Think of it as an inner detox, a filter that allows only what nourishes your soul to remain. And yes, letting go is hard. Comfort zones, familiar pain, even the illusion of control. These may feel like pieces of your identity, but they are not who you are. They were simply tools for an earlier chapter of your life. What comes after you release them, that is the miracle. On the other side of this dismantling is a new you, a self more resilient, more conscious, more connected to your truth. You'll begin to feel it, a quiet but powerful sensation, a mix of fear and excitement, as though something extraordinary is about to happen. That feeling is not random. It is your intuition speaking. It is proof that your consciousness is expanding, that the limitations you once placed on yourself are dissolving. And as those inner walls fall, new life begins to grow. New dreams, new purpose, new energy. It's as if the garden of your soul is being cleared of weeds, ready to bloom with vibrant color. This is the first sign. The second sign, you begin to feel a growing disconnection from your past. One of the clearest and most powerful indications that you are stepping into a new chapter of your life is this subtle yet undeniable shift. It doesn't happen in an instant. It begins quietly, deep inside of you, almost unnoticeable at first. Yet little by little, the things that once lit you up, the activities that once gave you energy, the conversations and routines that once felt meaningful, suddenly begin to lose their weight. Maybe you've realized that hobbies you used to enjoy now feel empty. Conversations that once flowed easily now feel forced. The routines that once gave you comfort now leave you restless. It's as though you are looking at the same world but through different eyes. The same faces, the same places, yet they no longer carry the same spark. What once felt like home now feels strangely foreign. This fading connection is not random, nor is it a fleeting mood. It is a sign of deep transformation. It is your soul quietly but firmly nudging you forward. It is telling you, you have outgrown this version of yourself. The emotions tied to your old life begin to dissolve, and in their place rises a quiet detachment. You may not fully understand it, but your soul knows it's time to move forward. Your perception of life is shifting. With that shift, your desires, your goals, your values, and your connections naturally change as well. Suddenly, what once formed the foundation of your identity no longer feels like it belongs to you. It feels like echoes of a person you no longer are, shadows of a self you've outgrown. And though this realization can be confusing, even painful, you know deep down that you cannot go back. You cannot fit into the old mold anymore. The routines you once lived by, the job that once defined you, the social circles where you once belonged, all of it begins to unravel. This unraveling can feel like loss, but it is not loss, it is liberation. It is your inner being making space. It is you shedding old skins so that something far more authentic can emerge. Letting go is never easy. There is a quiet mourning in releasing parts of your identity that once felt permanent. But this disconnection is not punishment, it is preparation. It is the clearing of a forest, making space for new growth. The new has not yet fully appeared, but it is already taking root silently beneath the surface. The universe is sending you a sacred message. The past has fulfilled its purpose. It is time to loosen your grip. This doesn't mean abandoning everything you've known. It means releasing your attachment to what no longer nourishes your spirit. You are being invited into a new reality. You are being asked to release old roles, repeated patterns, masks you once wore. You are being called to step into a life that reflects not who you once were, but who you are becoming. And yes, this transition often feels uncertain. You may feel like the ground is shifting beneath you, but within that uncertainty lies the promise of something beautiful. Expansion, rebirth, the rediscovery of your truest self. This disconnection is not the end. It is the beginning. Beneath it, countless inner changes are unfolding. You start to notice your beliefs shifting, especially those limiting ones you once accepted without question. The old version of yourself, the one who lived according to others' expectations, who followed without asking why, begins to fade. You start to question things you once assumed were true. You begin looking inward more often, realizing the outside world doesn't hold all the answers. The structures of your old life may feel as though they're crumbling. But this collapse doesn't destroy you. It liberates you. And yes, you may struggle to define yourself in this new space. But one thing is clear. You are not the same person anymore. You are evolving. You are expanding. And that old identity no longer fits. Deep within, a fire stirs. A burning desire to be reborn. To step into a version of yourself that is bolder, freer, more authentic. You may not yet know exactly what this new self looks like, but you feel it calling to you. Of course, as this disconnection deepens, fear may try to creep in. Fear of letting go, fear of stepping into the unknown. But alongside that fear comes freedom. The freedom of no longer needing to be who you used to be. The strength that comes from releasing what no longer serves you. That empty feeling inside of you. It is not emptiness at all. It is potential. It is the sacred womb of new beginnings. It is the sign that something far more aligned with your soul is about to emerge. Yes, it may be uncomfortable. Growth always is, but discomfort is the doorway to clarity. And with time, clarity comes. You stop searching for answers outside yourself. You stop waiting for others to define your path. Instead, you turn inward. You begin to trust your intuition, your heart, your soul. The noise of the world grows faint, and in its place rises a steady inner voice, a compass that points you toward truth. That voice becomes your guide. You no longer cling to the past. You no longer try to revive the old. Instead, you open yourself to possibility. You allow yourself to become someone new. Day by day, you step closer to your most honest self, not the one shaped by fear or obligation, but the one that has always been waiting beneath the surface. So if you feel distant from who you once were, if your old life no longer feels like it fits, if people, habits, and dreams that once defined you now feel foreign, understand this. Your soul is guiding you. This is not the end. This is the sacred beginning of the transformation you were always destined to experience. The true journey is only just beginning. The third sign. You find yourself questioning what you once believed was important. Have you noticed that the things that used to feel essential no longer carry the same weight? It's as if you're suddenly looking at life from a different angle, through a lens you never used before. Concerns that once consumed you seem to dissolve. Material achievements, other people's opinions, society's expectations. Little by little they begin to lose their grip. You start asking yourself what truly matters. Career, money, recognition. All of these may still exist, but now they appear as smaller pieces of a much larger puzzle. A picture you couldn't quite see before is finally revealing itself. Slowly, you realize that the meaning of life cannot be measured by external standards, but by how deeply aligned you are with what resonates inside of you. It's as though a veil has lifted. Suddenly, you can see beyond appearances, straight into the essence of things. This questioning can feel unsettling at first. It can stir confusion, even moments of doubt. But it is within this space of not knowing that growth begins. That is the fertile soil where new answers, born from within, start to take root. Life begins to show you that true fulfillment doesn't come from collecting things, but from experiences that nurture your spirit, from relationships that enrich your soul. This awakening pushes you to re-examine your purpose. Why am I here? What do I want to create? What do I truly long to experience? These questions don't always provide immediate answers, but they open doors to new possibilities. And so, what once felt indispensable begins to fade, making room for new passions, new interests, new longings. This is a clear sign. Your life is preparing for transformation. The universe is redirecting you, guiding you toward what truly fulfills you. This shift in perspective doesn't happen overnight. It begins gradually, almost imperceptibly. But once it starts, you realize it cannot be ignored. The things that once gave you security may now feel empty. You no longer crave validation from the outside. It feels as though a new energy is calling you toward a more authentic way of living, one that reflects your own truth, not society's version of success. And here's the beauty. This process isn't only about rejecting the old. It's about welcoming the new. Passions you once silenced start to rise again. Perhaps you return to hobbies or interests you left behind, or discover entirely new areas that suddenly spark your curiosity. You stop caring about following a predefined path and instead begin creating your own. A path shaped by your true values, your real desires, the one only you can define. This reevaluation can sometimes bring a sense of loneliness. At first, you might feel out of place with your usual friends or communities. That's natural. It's part of stepping away from external expectations so you can discover your inner truth. Don't fear this solitude. It is temporary, and it creates space for self-awareness to grow. Soon, you'll attract people who share your evolving vision. Those who resonate with your new vibration will appear. It feels like pressing a reset button. What no longer serves you fades. What truly matters begins to rise. This questioning is not a crisis, it is an awakening. An awakening that prepares you for a deeper, more conscious life. And though the process may feel uncertain, understand this. It is exactly what you need to step into your highest self. What seemed like a fixed destiny is dissolving, and in its place emerges a greater truth. You begin to recognize that real success is not about chasing what the world celebrates, but about living a life that mirrors your soul. And once you taste this realization, there's no going back. This questioning, though challenging, is a sacred invitation. The invitation to step out of the illusion and into authenticity. And when you accept it, you begin to see that what you're experiencing is not loss, it is liberation. You are not falling apart. You are falling into alignment. This is the third sign. The fourth sign. You feel more connected to your intuition than ever before. When you stand on the edge of a great transformation, something extraordinary begins to awaken within you, a sense of inner clarity, as though an invisible light has been switched on in the depths of your being. Suddenly, things start to make more sense. Life begins to feel like it carries hidden messages, and decisions that once confused you now seem obvious. You're no longer drowning in the noise of endless thoughts. Instead, a quiet inner voice begins to guide you, a whisper that tells you which direction to follow, even when logic hasn't caught up yet. This is your intuition, your sacred compass. It doesn't need evidence or explanations. It simply knows. It's that unshakable feeling in your gut that says this is right for me or this path is not mine. The challenge lies in learning to trust it. At first, you may doubt this voice, brushing it aside as imagination. But the more you listen, the louder and clearer it becomes. And as you begin trusting this inner wisdom, decision-making grows easier because now you're acting from alignment, not fear. This awakening doesn't happen all at once. It starts with subtle signs, a hunch that leads you to avoid something, a sense of peace that arises during uncertain times, or an inner pull that encourages you to say yes when everything else says no. At first, you might not notice these nudges because the world is full of noise, distractions, and opinions. But when you create silence, when you allow yourself to listen, you realize your intuition has been speaking to you all along. Your intuition reveals itself in many forms, sometimes as a physical sensation, other times as a thought that appears seemingly out of nowhere, and often as an unexplainable certainty about people or situations. As you become more attuned to it, you'll find that your choices no longer stem only from logic. They flow from a deeper knowing, from a place of truth within you. And here lies the miracle. Once you start honoring this voice, life begins to unfold with more fluidity. Things that once seemed random start to form patterns. Events that appeared chaotic now make sense in hindsight, like puzzle pieces finally coming together. You begin to experience the magic of being at the right place at the right time, guided by a wisdom beyond reason. You notice that you no longer feel the need to control every detail, because you trust that this voice within is leading you exactly where you're meant to be. Fear begins to loosen its grip and doubt slowly fades. Even when the future remains uncertain, you feel a deep peace knowing that you are aligned with your truth. This new connection allows you to sense what was previously hidden. You notice the energy behind words, the intention behind actions, the subtle vibrations in every encounter. You begin to perceive not only what is being said, but what is left unspoken. And this heightened awareness becomes one of your greatest gifts. The most powerful part of this sign is the security it brings. The more you trust your intuition, the more grounded you become. Even in the face of uncertainty, you feel unshakable, because you know your inner compass will not lead you astray. This is not just a phase. It is the beginning of a deeper journey into self-discovery and empowerment. A journey where your choices, guided by intuition, bring you closer to your true essence. Life flows with a grace you never thought possible, because you are now aligned with the natural rhythm of your soul. This is the fourth sign. The fifth sign. You feel an irresistible pull toward personal growth. As this new chapter of your life begins to unfold, you notice your mind opening wider than ever before. The version of yourself you once accepted no longer satisfies you. Inside there is a fire, a deep yearning not just to exist, but to evolve, to expand, to become more. Suddenly, learning becomes nourishment. You find yourself drawn to books, courses, new knowledge, and conversations that challenge you to think differently. You are no longer content with staying the same. Instead, you crave transformation. It feels as though your very soul is hungry for growth, urging you to explore hidden parts of yourself, to awaken passions you once ignored, and to confront limitations you didn't realize you carried. This inner drive is not only intellectual, it is emotional and spiritual as well. You begin to sense that growth is no longer optional. It has become a necessity. You feel a call to heal old wounds, to release limiting beliefs, to dismantle mental patterns that no longer serve you. It may be uncomfortable, but you realize that only through letting go of the past can you make space for the new. And while this process can feel challenging, it is also exciting. Because every time you release what holds you back, you step closer to the most authentic version of yourself. You feel alive in the pursuit of evolution. You recognize that this is not just about collecting knowledge. It's about aligning your life with your values, with your soul's purpose. Growth becomes your priority. You start to notice that superficial distractions no longer have the same appeal. Instead, you are drawn to experiences that bring depth, connection, and meaning. You surround yourself with people who inspire you, who push you forward, who mirror the person you are becoming rather than the person you once were. Your questions grow deeper. Who am I really? What is my purpose? How can I live a life that honors my soul? These questions are not accidental. They are signs that your consciousness is expanding, that you are breaking free from old limitations and stepping into a higher awareness. And yes, this journey can feel uncertain at times. Old definitions of success may no longer resonate. The path ahead may look unclear, but inside you know this is exactly where you need to be. You're no longer satisfied with surface-level living. You long for authenticity, for alignment, for wholeness. Each step forward feels like peeling back another layer of illusion, revealing the raw truth of who you really are. And though it may feel like you're stepping into the unknown, you also feel more alive than ever before, because growth, true growth, is the path to freedom. This is the fifth sign. The sixth sign. You feel a powerful urge to break free from toxic relationships and situations. At this stage of your journey, you begin to notice something undeniable. The people, environments, and habits that once felt familiar no longer resonate with who you are becoming. What you used to tolerate, what you once excused, what you accepted as normal, all of it now feels heavy, draining, and misaligned. You're not simply outgrowing these dynamics. You are evolving beyond them. The behaviors you once allowed no longer feel acceptable. The relationships you once clung to no longer bring peace. The spaces you once considered safe now seem suffocating. Deep inside, you recognize that these connections were never helping you thrive. They were only keeping you in place. It's as if a veil has been lifted and suddenly you see clearly. You realize that no matter how long you've known someone, no matter how much energy you've invested, if the relationship weighs you down instead of lifting you up, it's time to let go. This realization doesn't come from resentment. It comes from self-respect. You understand now that choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and love over fear is not selfish. It is sacred. To evolve, you must protect your energy. You must honor your well-being, and so you begin releasing. The friendships that no longer reflect your growth, the environments that keep you small, the habits that sabotage your peace. You may not know what the future holds, but you know you can no longer remain where you are. The pain of staying has become greater than the fear of stepping into the unknown. Letting go can feel painful. Endings always do, but in truth this is not an ending, it is a liberation. A declaration to the universe that your heart, your soul, your life matter. That your energy is sacred and you will no longer waste it on what dims your light. And here's the miracle. As you release what no longer serves you, you begin to attract people and experiences that align with your higher self. New relationships blossom, connections that feel light, expansive, inspiring. You find yourself surrounded by those who encourage your dreams instead of dismissing them, who see you clearly instead of distorting you, who love you for who you truly are. Slowly, you rebuild. You create a circle of authenticity, a network of relationships that uplift, nurture, and energize you. These connections don't drain you, they fuel you. They don't demand you shrink. They invite you to expand. And as this new chapter unfolds, you realize something profound. You no longer settle for half-hearted love, for conditional support, or for relationships built on convenience. You only welcome bonds rooted in truth, respect, and reciprocity. Whether in friendship, family, or romance, you now demand alignment. This sacred act of release is not about cutting people off with bitterness. It is about reclaiming your freedom. It is about declaring that your soul deserves a safe space to grow, to heal, to love fully. And though the process may sting, remember this. Every ending creates space for a new beginning. The relationships that remain will be stronger, purer, more authentic. And those yet to come will reflect not who you were, but who you are becoming. This is not just a shift. This is rebirth. This is the sixth sign. The seventh sign. You begin to feel a profound disconnection from everything that no longer serves you. As you step fully into this new phase, something within you begins to shift in a way that cannot be ignored. The people, the activities, the places, and even the habits that once felt essential now carry less and less weight. It is not that they were wrong or meaningless. It's simply that you've outgrown them. Your soul is calling you higher, and in answering that call, pieces of your old life naturally begin to fade. Relationships that once felt vital may now feel strained. Activities that once brought joy may now feel repetitive or empty. Even familiar spaces, places that once gave you comfort, might suddenly feel foreign or disconnected. And while part of you may grieve this loss, another part feels the quiet liberation of breathing fresh air after being confined for too long. This disconnection is not betrayal. It is evolution. It is not about rejecting your past, but about honoring your becoming. Growth often requires outgrowing, and that is exactly what is happening within you now. At first, the process may feel confusing. You may ask yourself, why doesn't this excite me anymore? Why do I feel distant from people I used to love? Why do I no longer fit into places I once called home? And though the answers may not be immediate, deep down you know this: you are being prepared for something greater. As the old begins to dissolve, a sacred silence emerges, a calm that was never there before. It is the peace that comes when you stop forcing yourself into spaces that no longer resonate with your soul. You begin to notice that your thoughts, routines, and even fears start to shift. What once consumed you no longer holds the same power. The constant worry, the endless noise, the old doubts, they begin to fade. And though this fading may bring nostalgia, it also creates something far more important: space. Space for the new, space for alignment, space for your soul to expand into the truth of who you are becoming. This transformation rarely happens all at once. It unfolds gradually, like a dawn that grows brighter with every passing moment. One day you realize you no longer crave what you used to. Another day you notice you've lost interest in conversations that once defined you. Little by little, your old self loosens its grip and a new self emerges. This is not a mistake. It is the wisdom of the universe guiding you. Gently, and sometimes abruptly, life removes what no longer fits so that you can finally wear the life tailored for your soul. And here is the promise: when you stop clinging to what was and start welcoming what is meant to be, everything begins to shift. You are no longer just changing circumstances. You are expanding consciousness. You are aligning with a version of reality where peace, clarity, and authenticity become your foundation. So if you feel yourself drifting away from the past, if the old world feels less and less like yours, trust the process. This is not the end. This is the sacred beginning of the transformation you were always meant to experience. Stay open. Stay curious. Stay willing to release. The journey ahead is not only about growth, it is about awakening. You are not alone. Every step you take brings you closer to the truth of who you really are. This is the seventh sign, and with it, your new chapter begins. Ahora quiero lanzarte un desafío práctico. Hoy, cuando termines de ver este video, escribe en tu diario o aquí mismo en los comentarios una frase que sueles repetirte a ti mismo en silencio. Puede ser positiva o negativa. Tal vez sea algo como: nunca tengo suerte, o sé que lo lograré. Esa frase es tu espejo interno, es parte de tu comunicación intrapersonal. Al escribirla, estarás haciendo visible lo invisible, y ese es el primer paso para transformarlo. Jung decía que los símbolos y las palabras nos muestran el camino hacia el inconsciente. Así que tu desafío es exponer uno de esos símbolos ocultos que habitan en ti. La gran lección de todo lo que vimos hoy es esta: tus palabras no son neutras. Cada vez que hablas, estás creando realidades. La comunicación no es solo con otros, también es contigo mismo y con el universo. Cuando limpias los ruidos, esas dudas, miedos y contradicciones, tu palabra se vuelve clara, coherente y magnética. Eso es lo que Jung llamaba individuación, el proceso de alinear lo que piensas, sientes, dices y haces con tu esencia más profunda. Recuerda, tu alma no miente, y si logras comunicarte desde la coherencia, el universo entero conspira a tu favor. Así que ahora escribe en los comentarios este decreto poderoso: abracadabra, yo creo conforme hablo. Hazlo con intención, hazlo con fuerza, porque esa es la primera puerta que abres hacia tu nueva realidad. No olvides darle me gusta a este video, suscribirte al canal y compartirlo con al menos 3 personas que sabes que necesitan este mensaje. Y en el próximo episodio vamos a hablar de otro de los pilares que conforman tu vibración personal: las creencias, porque allí se esconden las raíces más profundas de tu destino. Nos vemos en la próxima jornada.